Hello, welcome guys. Welcome to the Java Unicorn. So today we will start with the Java interview questions for freshers. This is the next session that we are covering here. So I hope you have gone through the first part of Java interview questions for freshers. If you haven't gone through the part one interview questions, then please I request you to please go through that part and then come back to this part. Okay, so let's start. So the first question in this series is what is method overloading and what is method overriding, and give an example of both. Okay, so what is method overloading? In method overloading, we can say that a class can have a multiple method with the same name and with different signature. The different signature means that they have different arguments here. Okay, and what are the different ways to overload a method? There are two ways of overloading a method in a class. Like in the first method, by changing the number of arguments, and the second method is by changing the data type of the arguments. Okay, let's try to understand this thing with an example here. Okay, okay. So let's try to understand the first method of method overloading. Okay, so the first method of overloading is by changing the number of arguments. Okay, let's take a method as int, which will return a integer value here. So let's take two variables here, int a and int b. Now inside this method we will return the addition of both these variables. Okay, yeah. Now we will create another method with the same name, add, which will return the integer variable value, and we will pass three integer here. Okay, int b and then int c. Again we will return the addition of all these variables like this. Okay, now in main method we will create a object of the class m is equals to method. Okay, now we will call the first methods, that is add, with two arguments in it. So let's try to pass two integer values here, and then again we will call the second method which has three arguments in it, 11, 22 and 33. Okay, so as you can see that we have changed the number of arguments here. We have a add method here also, and we have a add method also here, but in this case we have two arguments like int a and int b, and in this method we have three integer variables a, b and c. Okay, so now we will print the values here. So let's copy this thing inside the sysout, because we want to display the values also here, and again a sysout here for this one. Okay, like this. Now we will execute this program. See, so first it will call the method which has two arguments, and then again we have called the method which has three arguments in it. Okay, so this is the first method of method overloading. Now we will see the second method of overloading. Okay, okay, so the second method we will look into here, that is by changing the data type of the arguments. Let's comment this on this one, and the second method is changing the data type of arguments. Okay, so in this case let's copy this method also. Okay, we will keep this method here, and again we will have this method also, again copy, and in this case I will change the return type of double, and it should also be a double here, and it should also be a double. Okay, now we will have a double here, so we will add 12.2 something like this, and the second value is 12.3. Okay, so in this case we have integer variables, and in this case we have double variables. So let's try to execute this method also. See, the result is something like this, that it first returns, first it will invoke the add method, that means the integer method, then it will invoke the double method. Okay, so in this way we can implement the method overloading. Okay, and one more thing to note here, that method overloading is not possible by changing the return type of the method only. So in this case you cannot say like this, like this. Okay, so you will see that there is a duplicate method, and in type method overloading is throwing here in the compilation error. Okay, now what about method overriding? In method overriding we can say that a parent class has a method and a child class has a method, and both methods have the same name and with the same signature also. So in this case we can say that this is a method overriding. So in method overriding, the parent class and the child class having the same method name and with the same signature also. Okay, but there are some rules of method overriding. So what are those rules here? The rules are like this: the method must have the same name as in the parent class, as we already discussed here. The second rule is the method must have the same parameter as in the parent class. Okay, the parameter must be same in the child class and the parent class. Okay, and the last is there must be a easy relationship, that means the child class must extend the parent class. Okay, let's try to understand this with an example here. Okay, so let's say we have a class as method overriding, and on the top of this method overriding class we have another class. Let's say we have a shape class here. Okay, and inside this shape class we have a method. Let's say we have a method name as get shape, and inside this get shape method we have a sysout here. Let's say in sysout we will write something shape class. Okay, and after this we have another class, let's say rectangle class, and which extends the shape class. Okay, now in this class we will have a method name as get shape, as we have already defined a get shape method in parent class, so we will have the same name as it is in the parent class. Okay, let's add a sysout here, and we will have a rectangle a rectangle class. Okay, now inside main method I will create an object of parent class as is equals to new shape, and I will invoke the method of the parent class, that means get shape. Okay, now again I will create a object of child class, okay, r dot get shape. Okay, so in this case it will first it will invoke the get shape method of parent class, and then it will invoke the get shape method of the child class. Okay, let's try to execute this program now. Okay, so you can see that first it will invoke the get shape method of parent class and then child class. Okay, so as you can see that we have applied all the three rules here. That means the method must have the same name. This is the first rule. Okay, the second rule, the argument must be the same in both the methods, so the arguments are same here. And the third and last rule is the class must extend the parent class. That means there must be a easy relationship between the two classes. Okay, okay, the next question is, can a single try block and multiple catch block coexist? That means a try block can be proceeded with the multiple catch block. Yes, it can be possible with in which we can have a one try block and it can be followed by multiple catch blocks. Okay, so whenever an exception is identified in a try block, and if there are multiple catch blocks, then the priority of the catch block is really decided as per the order of the catch block. Okay, so the first block will get the highest priority. So first it will go into the first catch block, and then it will go to the next catch block, and so on, so on. Okay, so until and unless it will find the that catch block which is going to be handled this exception which is occurring in the try block, it is going so on, so on. Okay, so let's try to understand this concept with an example here. Okay, so let's we have a class named as try with multiple catch, and inside this we are going to explain uh, a, a try block with multiple catch block. Okay, so let's try to add a try block here, and inside this try block we are going to add like this: int I is equals to 10 divided by 0. Okay, so as you can see that there is an exception in try block because a number cannot be divided by 0. Okay, so we have our first arithmetic exception in the catch block. Okay, and inside this catch block we are going to add a sys out here. Let's say arithmetic exception. Okay, then we have another catch block here. Let's say we have um, array index out of bound exception. Okay, and we have another sys out here. Let's copy this sys out here and change the sys out of this block. Okay, and again we have a catch block here. Let's say we have exception e, and then we have another sys out. Okay, so this time we will have only this one. Okay, okay, so the flow of the program will go like this. It will first go into the try block. It will go to the first line of the try block. It is getting 10 divided by 0. So it will go into the first line, int I is equals to 10 divided by 0. There's exception here because 10 is not divided by 0, so it will go to the first catch block, that means arithmetic exception. So it will execute this catch block. Okay, so let's try to execute this program. Okay, so we are getting arithmetic exception here as a sys out. Okay, now let's try to remove this catch block here, the one which is designated to the arithmetic exception. Okay, so now in this case the exception will occur in this line number 8, and after this line it will first go to this catch block, array index out of bound exception. So this exception is not related to this line, so it will go to the next catch block. So this is the generic exception, so this exception will handle this, and the output will be the sys out of this catch block. Okay, so let's try to execute this program. Okay, so the flow of the program is like this. Set that first it will find the first catch block, that is the highest priority of this catch block, and then it will go to the next block which is going to handle this exception here. Okay, so I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay, so the next question is, what are the different uses of final keyword? So the final keyword is used in three contexts. First is it is used in variable context. Second is it is used in class context, and third is it is used in method context. Okay, so let's try to understand it. What is the uses of final variable? So as I said that the final can be used as a variable. So whenever you declare a variable as a final variable, that means you are declaring a variable as a constant variable. That means you are not going to allow the variable to be modified. Okay, so the value of the variable cannot be modified. Like in this case, when I declare a variable speed as an integer variable as a final variable, that means the variable speed cannot be changed. Okay, the second use of final variable is we can declare a method as a final method. That means that method cannot be overridden. That means we cannot whenever you want to prevent a method to be overridden in a child class, then declare that method as a final method in the parent class. Okay, like in this case we have a method fun which is declared as a final. So this fun method cannot be overridden. Okay, the next use of final keyword is we can declare a class as a final class. So if we declare a class as a final class, that means we cannot extend that class. Okay, like in this case we have a class as a circle. So this circle class cannot be extended by any other class. Okay, so next question is, what is the difference between final, finally, and finalize? So let's try to understand that what is the difference between final, finally, and finalize. As we have seen earlier that what are the different uses of final. So we can declare a final variable, that means it will be a constant variable, and we can declare a method as a final method, that means we cannot override that final method, and we can declare a class as a final class, that means we cannot extend that class. Okay, so these are the uses of final keyword. Whereas in case of finally, it is used in with the try block. Okay, try catch or with a try block also. So if we using a finally block, that means irrespective of the exception, whether the exception is going to occur or not, the finally block will always be executed. Okay, like in this case we have a try block here. We have a try block here, and inside this try block we have an int variable is equals to 5. So there's no exception here, so this catch block will not be executed here. Okay, so in this case the finally block will be executed. That means the execution of finally block will be displayed on the console screen. Okay, and in the case of finalize means prior to the garbage collection of an object, the finalize method is called so that the cleanup activity is implemented. Like if we want to release the resources, then finalize method will be invoked here. Like we have a file input stream, that means we have to release the file input stream here. Okay, so in this case we can use the finalize here. Okay, so that's come to the end of this interview session. So hope you will like this session, and if you like this session, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And if you like this channel, please share with your friends, and so that I can improve the channel content, so that it can be beneficial for you. And I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.